Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
This is Ed Cohen in San Diego, California, and you're on Global TV Talk Show. This is a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net, which has been in existence since '03, and Google Analytics, if we can believe all that, says that we've had 1.2 million reader page views since '03. But more importantly and more realistically, since we started these broadcasts on or about March 1st, 2020, Google Analytics has tracked a little over 100,000 what they call page views. In other words, I'm watching this thing and this is a page. Now I may click to another broadcast and well, that'll be another page, and so on. So one unique visitor could have 100 page views connected with that. And that's the count that is important to me as a broadcaster. So this year, since January 1 through May 2 or 3, Google has tracked about 25,000. So it's running ahead of last year, same time. So thank you for coming back, everybody. I really appreciate it. So once again, this is free registration on Global TV Talk Show, never a registration fee for anybody at any time. This is open source. We have a prescribed program, but everybody is welcome to speak up within the context of the specific meeting. We have broadcast since March 1, 2020, approximately that date, about 200 broadcasts. And between now and Christmas coming up, the end of this year, 2021, Paul Johnston and I will be aiming to produce at least 100 more broadcasts. Seems like a lot, but it's actually quite doable. If you think of 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and 5 or 6 hours at least each day available, believe me, I'm not going to talk that much. And starting right this second, let's introduce everybody here who's current. We are expecting a few others to join us during this broadcast, and we will end a little bit after the top of the hour. Paul Johnson and I have 2 other broadcasts today, and so we're on a schedule. Sara Marisa Simonetti from Interconex in the New York market, welcome. And please quickly just introduce yourself. You know, you've been in this business a long time, although you look like you're 22. It's it's always a pleasure to see you. And I remember when you were on, I think right after we launched, and we really didn't know what to do. And we were looking down rather than looking at this green light right up here. Okay, so everybody just look at that green light. Don't look at me or Larry Kruger. Just look at that green light, because the world is going to see this thing. Sara, tell us about your position, and you and Victor and the others have had a great success the past year.
Thank you. Yeah, good morning, everyone. And it's good to join you today. I am, as Ed said, based just outside of New York City. And I work for Interconex. And as Ed mentioned, 20, you were close. You said 22, but I've actually been with Interconex about 21 years. So
No,
yesterday.
I said that you look 20.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, my anniversary was yesterday. So it's only when the anniversary rolls around do I really think about it. But I'm happy to be here. So last year was fun. You've taught me that I need to look up, and check my background, and I fixed my face and all kinds of good things.
No, it wasn't
presentable
me.
to everybody today, but
it was our media trainers, Diane and Robin. Right.
Yeah. It's been a great year so far. I'm sure we'll get around to talking a little bit more about the details about business, but it's very good to be here with you all today. And some of you I'm meeting for the first time, so it's good to meet you all.
Thank you so much. Sandra Cleary, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Sandra Cleary, and I'm the Director of Business Development and Client Engagement for Enterprise Database Corporation, which is a big mouthful, so usually it's just EDC. But anyone who does what I do for a living, I feel like my real title is really like Chief Listening Officer. I think I want to get a little plaque for my door that says, CLO. Because really, at the end of the day, what am I doing? I'm listening to clients, I'm listening to customers, I'm listening to colleagues, and I'm listening, just to people in the broader industry and looking for challenges that exist and ways that through technology, which is what we do at EDC, through technology, we can be part of solving those and furthering people along on their journey to success. So that's really why I'm here. And it's always nice to be here with Ed and Paul and the rest of you. So looking forward to today.
Thank you, Sandra. In the past, you said that your background included a stint as a relocation realtor.
Yes, you're going to bring that up, aren't you? Yes. So I do have a background in real estate and relo and a lot of different things there. And I love that because it gives me the ability to connect the dots, right? And I think that's probably everybody on the call here. If you hear a conversation and you only hear it within the boundaries of exactly what you think either your company's defined, space is, or even what your own defined space is, you'll never be as great for your customers and clients, whether internal or external, as if you can somehow figure out, hey, Andrew, I heard that mentioned the other day on such and such, and here's a thing that's already doing that, and that's what I love about having that sort of a varied background and the experience. And yeah.
So for EDC, some of your products help the moving industry, right?
Right. We support several different industries with different kinds of solutions. And we also do custom development that gets white labeled under other companies. So sometimes the tech that you might be using somewhere else is actually tech that we built. But our largest industry customer is the moving and storage industry. And really oftentimes you'll hear us use the pronouns we and us and all this sort of stuff, talking about moving and storage. And that's how connected we feel to it. So we have a lot of irons in the fire, but really that's kind of our heart.
Okay, now on the chat thing you see on the bottom there, feel free, and I welcome you, and please connect with each other. Just send each other a message with your website or email, because it's what you take forward after this broadcast ends is where the money will be for you guys, and the satisfaction level for the show goes up. So connect, and good luck. Eddie Marx, thanks. I think this is your third or fourth broadcast. Thanks very much for being involved. Tell us about what's going on as you prepare for your peak season. It's craziness, isn't it?
It really is. And by the way, the fact that it's been the third or fourth broadcast with you, I just think you can't get enough of this handsome face there, Ed. That's
well, I just have this little thing, but a few years ago I had one of these big black things too. But
so my name is Eddie Marx. I'm the Vice President of Global Business Development for New World. New World's my family-owned company. We've been in the business now for 102 years. So if you're doing the math, we were founded during our pandemic in 1919. So we know a few things about how to get through a pandemic. So, yeah, we're definitely contending with a very, very busy season with unprecedented volume, especially considering how many moves have been backlogged in the system from previously. So we have a tremendous amount of jobs that have been on hold from 2020 and then have just been getting bombed with more and more and more moves as things start to open back up again for 21. So it's definitely going to be a challenging peak season.
So I just a plain announcer here, okay? But how many of those backlogged are reserved for actual happening? How many do you think will fall out?
I mean, that's a good question, right? Because when you're talking about a company might have initiated a move 10 months ago, 12 months ago, does that person still want that position in the new city, right? We've not seen many initiations pull back and many cancellations. So I would figure you're going to see some percentage that will cancel, but it's going to be fairly minimal in the grand scheme.
Yeah. Larry Kruger from Canada, thank you for being involved. You and I have had conversations, but this is the first time you're on our program, so thanks. So are you seeing a similar thing happening?
Yes. First of all, I have to apologize because I'm Canadian. And I have to finish that statement with an A. Yes, we're seeing we're seeing a lot of the same things that the US is seeing. Our corporate business went down. Well, our personal, first of all, Larry Kruger, McWilliams Mayflower, and customer development for the organization. And my main thrust is corporate, but it's a family-run company, so I'm involved in a lot of things. But last year we were pretty consistent with our corporate business because we got involved with one of our major clients had a group move that just happened during the pandemic. But what also happened is the private transfer market really kicked in, where the corporate market kind of slowed down. The government business in Canada slowed down, but the private, the work from everywhere groups, it just seemed to really, and it's as you said, Eddie, it's getting that way for this summer. We're already booking up really quick and envisioning the same issues we have every year in the industry, and that's capacity issues. So yeah, it's busy.
So Eddie and Sara and Larry, have you been impacted by the issues connected with the Suez Canal?
A little bit. The Suez Canal was kind of an anomaly and, definitely had a little bit of impact, but in reality, the other issues about container shortages and just a limited space on containers is really the issue. And it's pushing, apart from first, you don't have space, and then the costs have just gone, through the roof. You've got markups of like up to, sometimes in some places and some routes, like up to 300% over the normal, which is, you've quoted a move and you've accounted for ocean freight at that time. And if, they don't book for another, 30 days or 60 days or whatever it might be, then, you're going to have to figure out with your client how you're going to make that change. And it's going to be tough. There are a lot of factors involved, but yeah, the Suez Canal was, like I said, it was an issue. It was an anomaly, though. Don't expect that to happen that often. But the bigger problem really is the shortage of containers and the shortage of truckers, which, we've been talking about that for, I don't know how many years already. So it's been exacerbated.
And Eddie, same with you?
Yeah, I could absolutely mirror Sara's comments in its entirety. The container shortage, especially coming out of the APAC region, is serious and it is painful. And I mean, you think about it, it's like we're moving we're moving household goods. It is not nearly as attractive. It's not as much money that would be generated to any economy as consumer goods would. So we're not sexy enough, essentially.
Yeah. And so Larry, that's the same thing, right?
Our organization mainly we manage domestic Canadian and cross-border US and Canada. So our company is not really a large international player. We do it, but our main thrust is over the road, Canada, US, and intra-Canadian stuff. So, we don't have container issues, but we have every other issue. That's the labor and the drivers, and on it goes. But a little different geographics, but the same problems the industry has.
So Mark Colo just retired for many years as VP Sales with Chipman, and so that, of course, I bet you're happy not to have that problem now.
I'm hearing everyone talking here, and I'm saying I couldn't have timed it any better getting out of the market. I mean, it's, this is a crazy, crazy industry. I've been in the van line industry for 40 plus years. During that time, I went through deregulation. I went through the rise of RMC companies. I founded two RMC companies of my own. One is called Trans Safari. Tran is for transferee. Safari, you're going on a journey. It's a jungle out there, and we're your guides. So we didn't have CSR reps, we had guides. And we would help these people get moved from point A to point B, from familiar to unfamiliar circumstances. And it was a lot of fun doing that. And I did that because my employer, who was strictly a mover, domestic mover, and representing a very large van line, his last name of his company was Relocation. I said, hey, Bill, I said, why is it called Relocation? Why are we called that? No, because we do relocation. I said, no, we don't. So we do logistics and storage and moving, but we don't do full relocation services. And I said, why don't we get into that space? His answer was, Mark, we can barely handle the moving, let alone those other services. So I said, Bill, if you can handle the moving and do it well, these other services are a piece of cake. It's a handoff, monitor, keep track of things. So I had a difference of opinion with that employer. We ended up going different ways, but I never in a million years thought I would be a mover and a shaker. So,
Larry, so thank you. So Larry Kruger, are people moving to Banff and working from there?
Sorry, again?
Are people moving to Banff in Western Canada?
Well, yeah, people are, there's a donut effect in the major cities. So everybody's leaving metropolitan Toronto and Vancouver. Well, not everybody. People that have been allowed to work, maybe mainly the IT and financial sector, are kind of exiting the big metropolitan areas like the Greater Toronto area and pushing out into the even further than the burbs, small town Canada, and that's, if you can work from everywhere, we've found that kind of explosion. The housing market has gone absolutely ridiculous. Now you're into blind bidding, and the homes have gone crazy. People are cashing in at a semi-retirement level, and putting in millions in the bank, and then just getting out to where they think they'll be able to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. And it's extreme. We have people calling us almost every day saying, hey, listen, I cashed out, sold my place, I don't even know where I'm going, just throw me into storage until I find a place. And it's and we get it every day. So that whole because Toronto is a heavy financial district, it's your New York City basically, right? A lot of the finance people are kind of exiting the 600 square foot condo and getting into a large 4-bedroom home in the country. And with that comes all of the challenges. So yes, they are not necessarily Banff, but they are leaving the metro cities and finding themselves a nice little nook someplace.
Yeah. So it comes to technology. And so with us, we have an expert, Andrew Bruzzi. Welcome again. So tell us about what you're doing.
Well, thank you, Ed. I appreciate the reference of expert of technology, but always growing. So I lead Vendium Global, which is an HR technology consulting company. So we support global mobility providers and HR programs, generally with corporate clients, with building out the policies, process, training, and tech that they need for their program. So a lot of it's AI, VR. Even played a bit with augmented reality type solutions for some clients, just ways to use technology to help augment their workforce so they can better serve their clients, better serve their employees, and have a greater impact in their space.
Cool. Okay, so Sandra's into technology too. I don't know whether that came through clearly. So Sandra, some of your one of your products, I can't remember the name. I'm not looking at notes right now. Relo Logistics or something. Please correct me or tell us what some of these products are.
Thanks. So, well, within our product suite, we have a whole suite of things that are aimed more at movers and their customers, right? So you may have heard of Easy DPS, which was a solution that gives movers like Eddie's company an ability to connect for DoD moves, U.S. Department of Defense moves, but yet not to have to go directly into the DoD, the DPS system, which can be a little cumbersome. That was the understatement of the year, by the way. So it can be a little cumbersome. And so giving them the ability to set up, and, Andrew's talking about having the ability to kind of augment through whether intelligent automations and things like that. So a mover like Eddie or somebody might say, hey, I want to accept all jobs that are within, this zip range. And, here's where I've had to black out because I don't have capacity. Big issue coming up, right? Here's where we're open. And since there are rules that say if you don't accept a shipment or at least, deal with it within X amount of time, you then risk your ability to make more money going forward. And so lots of smart ways to help people use the intelligence of good technology to do that. So something like Easy DPS is something we're well known for. Also our EDC MoveStar, which is a large sort of an end-to-end move and automations management system. Again, lots of automation, lots of smart use of technology so that, and there are tasks during a day or things during a day that you really want that personal touch on, right? But where, how do you free up your people so that they're able to do the personal touch on those things? Well, it's to be smart about the things that you can automate and that you can, there you go, Andrew, right? And that you can reduce the need to have like duplicate data entry in 1,000 different places. I mean, the death knell of every company, doesn't matter your industry. So ways to help companies be smart. So something like, that Easy Tariff, kind of a rating engine and pricing rate calculation that we've just rolled out that there's a lot of buzz about. But also, one of the things that I think most recently was getting a lot of buzz is we're also working on a really exciting early detection COVID solution called You Smell It, which is really it's very cool. I got to tell you, I'll put a link in the chat here. It's very cool, but statistically, and I'll take just 1 second here, Ed, because you were silly enough to ask me a question, right? But statistically,
it makes my job easy when I have
I'm here for you, Ed.
People.
I am a giver. I am a giver. So statistically, reports say that the loss of a sense of smell, for instance, for people that have contracted maybe COVID is something like close to 80%, depending on the study you look at, close to 80% more significant than even like a fever or something. But what do most places do? They put the little fever gun on your forehead and they try to figure out if you have that. And so through a really, we'll say, kind of low tech in a way, because the whole aim was to be very accessible to people, whether in other countries where it's a little harder to get a solution out. And so through a series of cards that use some scratch and sniff, it's very cool. You use this and it kind of scores you based upon, did you get those right? And what is your trending over time? So if you usually probably don't have a real good schnoz, but at the same time, you usually get at least 3 out of 5. If all of a sudden you're hitting 1 out of 5, maybe that means you should go get a real definitive test. So anyways, very exciting. Just won a huge Global X Prize. And we are the development arm, helping a really brilliant professor out of Yale who had this great idea. So there are a lot of things that we do. But really, if you look at the core of them, Ed, what's at the core of it? Just doing great, smart technology that's founded on really good infrastructure that makes things scalable and makes them something where, hey, you know what, that would be a good fit with XYZ. How could we marry it together? And that's why I love these kind of conversations, because 2 people on a call might think they have nothing to do with one another. But when you know what the connections are and can be, you realize, you know what, there are absolutely some great synergies, and let's talk offline about how we might do that. So
before we get back to tech, I want to go to Mark again. Mark, when you and your family went over to Hawaii, did you have, you must have had that Hawaii trust test, the COVID test. You had to prove that you were either vaccinated or you had to do a sniff test or something, right?
Yeah, it was pretty involved. Just getting to the ticketing office to get your ticket. You had to go online, a state website, and you had to fill out all this information about yourself, and talk about your health conditions and other areas. But it was very cumbersome. Most government websites I found are kind of a pain to work. I don't know. It's like information overload. It's like it's asking questions that you think are totally irrelevant to the circumstance. It's a morass of confusion when I have to do a government paperwork. And Sandra brought it up great about how with the DoD, having that service that makes it simplified. I mean that's worth its weight in gold, I think. So to answer your question, Ed, had to go through a lot of website completion. And we got to the front desk. We thought we did everything perfectly, right? And we're a little bit behind for getting on the flight. And the attendant there helped us, but he found about 3 or 4 things we hadn't done. And so he says, "Oh, I can fix this for you. I can fix this." He was very gracious, very kind. And he went and worked on the issues. But all the while, there's 30 people behind me in line. And I could hear them start grumbling, "Oh, what's this guy didn't have his thing right? Well, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that?" And of course, you're a little uptight because you're a little bit late for the flight, but you don't want them to be late either. So it was difficult to get through all that. But
yeah, so I wonder how many of those passengers were going to work from Hawaii rather than go back and live in the States. But
yeah,
so that brings me to Larry, because you raised this question earlier about gigs. Gig is here to stay, right?
Yeah, the way I look at things, I'm not a psychic or anything, but what's happening is it's the gig economy was something that the younger people were doing and the tech end of things, but it almost seems like with the work from anywhere and these they're kind of self-directed COD moves inside a corporation. So basically, I'm going to move to wherever, San Diego, and I'm going to work from there. And if they're at a certain level, it's maybe they won't pay for the move, but the person might say, well, if you don't let me work from San Diego, somebody in San Diego is going to hire me in 2 minutes. So there's kind of I think going to happen is kind of a churning inside the typical corporate market, but it's going to be a private transfer churn because people are going to, like in the tech industry, people are going to be becoming more gig oriented. And I don't think gig should be looked at like if you're a high power individual or heavy hitter, you will say where you want to work. And that churning, if you want to keep that person, well, we're going to let them go there, but maybe we should offer them some sort of support, maybe not a full relocation support, but some sort of assistance, put them in touch with good suppliers so that, portion of the piece is done. And we add it as a soft benefit or something to keep this person with us. And that, I think it's going to turn into more and more of a gig, but a high-end gig, like a Rolling Stone gig, rather than a garage band gig economy.
Well, that's a good perspective.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Okay, Andrew, we're on to tech, and this is your thing. So it's the gig thing and hybrid, and this is all about tech, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I was smiling and nodding a lot as Larry was speaking, because I think that there's really two areas that we've been supporting a lot of our global mobility partners and corporate partners and RMCs in the past, well, I suppose year and a half now. One being in making sure that they have move programs that are very cost effective. And in many cases, it could be something free, right? It could be a discount sheet or something where if you just are giving them something to help them move, like a lump sum, I know we all kind of cringe away from that, but something to assist, then you can also provide a bunch of resources in the information that you're sending them. And the second part of that is the service and delivery of that information. So we use a lot of conversational AI to help deliver information, kick off services, have more of a self-service model. So even if you have a lower tier package, then how can you support them without, very expensive RMC costs or with access to information without a whole lot of people power to back it up? And that is through conversational AI. I actually have a very nerdy conversation on my website. I'll tag it in the chat, where I have a full Zoom call with one of our AI, and we do a full needs assessment call. And it's an example of how her name's Alice, by the way. She can initiate services and start and deliver information, and then feed that so collect information from the transferee, feed it over to the RMC or corporate mobility team, whichever is actually managing it, and do it at a much lower cost. Now, I don't think that's ever going to be the solution for, white glove executive level, but it's a way that organizations, if they're really budget conscious, they can use tech in order to still service that kind of gig or more, I'd say, fluid workforce, the folks that might be coming in for 18 months for a project that they don't want to, drop $80,000 on their move.
So, Sara, you guys have had the good fortune of having a number of moves from the tech industry.
Yeah.
And that with Apple expanding into San Diego, and now they're going to open up in Research Triangle, which is a huge move, and all this other stuff that's hitting Nashville. So it's small shipments, right? People aren't moving all their junk, are they?
Yeah. So it's not junk, but they are small shipments. Let me clarify that part. So we did get awarded a contract with another large technology company, so they are, and it's thousands, literally. We are moving thousands of people for this one client. And they are primarily domestic moves, and they're small shipments. So they are anything from, we had one survey the other day was 980 pounds up to, 6,000 is usually around that breakpoint marker where you'd want to, consider maybe alternatives. But most of them fall within that 2 to like 5,000 pound range. And so, yeah, they're considered small shipments. And they're keeping us very busy, of course, and we're learning a lot, and we're sort of perfecting as we go, figuring out what's working and what's not working, and bringing that to our client and saying, this could be an alternative. This could make it more efficient. I was waiting for my turn. I have some numbers. Some ERC published some numbers that they. We have our own numbers. Our bookings from last year, domestic and international. Not last year. We're going to actually excise last year because it sort of doesn't count, right? From 2019, we're up 28%, and from 2020 to 2021, international only is up 40%, which is a nice number. And as I think it was our friend, I'm sorry, let me make sure I get it, Eddie mentioned before, like there are moves on hold, right? So there are moves that were going to happen in 2020 and people just decided to hold on and pause and see what happens. But as he said, those moves are going forward. There are very few people who have actually canceled. They're just waiting for the right moment, whether that's, vaccine or whether that's immigration, which we have not talked about yet, but that's a big component of why things are still on hold, is the immigration part. But ERC just published, and I'll just give you one of this fact, but it's in their this month's report, where they said 64% of organizations plan to have half or more of their workforce working remotely. So, what does that mean for us going forward? How do we better handle the people that are going to be moving? And how might we be able to support, maybe through technology? How are we going to support those people who maybe are not moving, or maybe are going to do a split? So never a dull moment here, always keeping our eyes open and seeing what's going on, as Sandra said, like beyond our own little bubble. You have to see the bigger picture. There's, not one thing that doesn't affect something else. So
thank you, Sarah. Eddie, would you comment on that and tell us what's going on in New World?
Oh, yeah. So I can, again, mirror Sarah's comments. Is the small shipment and containerized shipment programs are growing. They are here to stay. They are not going away anytime soon. And what it does is it really provides some wonderful opportunities for some smaller moving companies to be able to touch business and service customers that they wouldn't normally. It's fantastic. We're seeing the claims rates through that program drop substantially. I think around 3% claims frequencies are occurring. Again, less distraction for the employer. It's fantastic. It is really been great. And I want to say around 10% of our business in 2020 was through a containerized shipment program. So really what you're seeing now is I have a few clients, some RMCs, that are trying to expand that well beyond that 5,000 to 6,000 pound mark. So that becomes the bigger question and challenge of how do you roll this out to a 10 or a 12,000 pound shipment to allow additional capacity and so on. So it gets to be a domestic international move kind of a thing, or maybe I said that wrong, international domestic move. But either way, it definitely presents some challenges. The way I kind of look at the industry is New World's been very focused on developing tech. We have a lot of proprietary technology that we've developed within our company and also doing deep thinking. I don't think, Andrew, we're quite at that AI stage. Deep thinking, as my techies say. And it does create some pushes, and we've done some wonderful things, but essentially it's still people going into houses, picking up stuff, moving it to the truck. But really, how do we affect the customer's experience begins the bigger question, right? Because having somebody call you up and set up an appointment to go into your residence and to take a look around and check off the boxes of the things that you have or don't have going is inundated, and our young people aren't going to want to deal with it. They don't want to have a move coordinator on the phone with them for 30 minutes explaining every process and every facet of the move. We collectively as an industry need to find a way of truly changing the customer experience and bringing it to modern day on the front end work. Again, there's still going to be a bunch of dudes running in and out of the house with stuff in their hands. We're not going to affect that. But as far as how the customer is getting the information to us and how we're giving the customer information back is something that needs to be adjusted and quickly.
Okay, let's go to Sara
wanna,
and then Larry.
Yeah, Eddie, I did, not that we're having a debate, but I did want to just disagree with one point of what you said. I agree with everything with the exception of the phone call part. I'm handling some of these myself, and I can say, especially the people who are moving for the very first time, that phone call is actually crucial. And I do everything I can to have that phone call before the surveyor even contacts them. After that, I probably will not talk to this person again, via phone. It's going to be, as I told, like email. You can text me, you can, FaceTime me. You can contact me any way you want, which is a great thing technology affords, right? But I would disagree that the phone calls are not important, especially for the people who are moving for the very first. They have no idea. Some of them are just graduating from college and they have no idea what it's going to be like for someone to come in and offer them all of these services that we offer. So that's only, one place where I would somewhat disagree with you, but otherwise I agree. And small shipments seem to be like the wave of the future. We've been doing it for, I think, 30 years or so because of a need of a client, and so you'd find ways to become more efficient. And as you mentioned, claims come down, and if they need storage, you're like, that's it. There's nothing else to be done. It's already ready to just be put in its little spot, and it's quite efficient, actually.
Okay, let's go to Larry and then Mark.
I think it's setting expectations right on the get-go with smaller shipments, and we live in an Uber mentality society, and people just think, kids, I deal with them all, kids, young adults, I deal with them all the time, and they're, can you pop over tomorrow and pick my stuff up after 2? It's this mindset that they're ordering a pizza. We jokingly say in our industry, no, we can't. There's logistics behind it. We have to. So I think if AI has a place, I'm sure it does, it is setting from the get-go the expectations of the process. Because I actually send out a process form when I talk to clients and tell them this is how your move is going to be managed. And for some reason, everybody ducks away from it. Everybody ducks away from transit times. Everybody paints a picture that the stuff's going to be picked up tomorrow and delivered the next day. So the AI end of things, in my opinion, could be very vital, even on an initial call, to at least set the expectations and so that the client knows as everybody I've ever dealt with, once we explain it to them, are cool with it. But it's this mentality that when they start into it and they say, well, pick me up tomorrow at 2, I'd like to be delivered, in San Diego tomorrow at 3, I can drive there like today in 6 hours. Why can't you have my stuff there in 6 hours? So, it is painting the proper pictures, in my opinion, and AI could very well have or a personal call. I agree with you, Sara, but AI may have that sort of a spot.
So let's go to Mark and then to Andrew, and let's talk tech with Andrew.
Yeah, I remember about 20 years ago attending an ERC conference, and I can't remember for the life of me where it was, but I remember the 2 speakers on the topic, and one of the speakers was a gentleman from Amazon, and the other one was a gentleman from a high-touch organization. And the 2 of them had like a debate up on the podium, and one was just trying to sell the benefit of technology, and that people want technology. They want to connect quickly and easily. They don't want to talk to a body in many cases. And the other person was arguing, no, they still need the high touch. We need to have that high touch during the process of the move. We need to establish who that point of contact will be for everything, rather than you're going to deal with half dozen other people that you're not going to have a clue what they're doing. You set the expectation with a phone call in the beginning, but then maybe you can use some of the technology. I wonder where the industry is going as far as lump sums versus direct a robust relocation program. About 20 years ago, I founded my own RMC company. It was called Lump Sum In, and it was meant to be something that I should have known Andrew that day. He would have developed the perfect solution to that scenario. I know he would have, but I didn't have that. But I had this vision that person could that employer can send that check for $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000, And our organization would then filter out the services based on the transferee's preferences, manage the tax aspect and everything else. But basically, we would make it a transferee versus having them go through a refugee experience. It's transferee versus refugee. And some companies that give them a lump sum and say, you're on your own, we'll see you in 30 days, I think they do a great disservice to that transferee. So.
Thank you, Mark.
And if I could say, Ed, Mark brings up a great point, and it's really a false dilemma. See, I'm going back to college logic class. So it's a false dilemma that people will say that it's either high touch or technology, right? It's either efficient or it cares, right? This is entirely, that means either you got the wrong tech, right? or hey, how could we shape that thinking? And, so Mark brings up a great point on that. And the point of technology is not to take the touch and the love out of it. It's that really great technology, number one, and this is where AI comes in, and this is in things that we do at EDC, and it sounds like Andrew's doing a rocking job over there for HR, et cetera. So, I'm going to connect with Andrew offline here because I can tell we're of the same mind on a lot of things. But, the point is you're looking for those areas that don't require the touch. But again, to the latter point, is that really great tech allows not just the process, but allows the experience to be what I'll call configurable. So, Sara brings up, hey, you might be surprised how many millennials really want that call. And, I have nieces and nephews in a variety of age ranges, and I use them as my test guinea pigs on a lot of things. And it stuns me. I mean, I was on a call with a nephew who works for a large financial company who's doing the whole work from anywhere. It's like, where's Waldo? I don't know where he is in any given, week. I look at his Instagram to see the pictures. Oh, he's in Utah today. That's great. But at the same time, you never met a young person or an old person with more questions about process, and so they really do want that. But the key is your system and your process, do you have the ability to make it very configurable so you can say, how would you like to communicate?
Yes,
We can communicate with you via text. We could communicate with you via email. I mean, we could communicate with you in any variety of ways. And that's really the thing. And that's just the point I want to bring up is really good tech starts with understanding. It doesn't start with, let me strip all the humanity out of a process and now we'll talk about it technology, going back to, chief listening officer, right? You're listening, you're watching for, what people want. And I love the fact that good technology should make a company and does make a company feel more connected with their customers and clients, because now they've been able to automate and they've been able to gain efficiencies in those things that didn't require their touch or that don't register on the Richter scale of their customer of, right, what is the most important thing to me? And then now my time is so focused on, what would any company be like? And, I'm looking at Eddie and Larry and different, what if your people had the time just to make what I call a random customer service touch? Hey, John, just reaching out, just, I know we're all on track. Nothing's changed. Because again, your system is automatically sending out those disclosures. It's sending out that information about the process. It's reminding them about, when it's scheduled and giving them easy ways to respond. But how about if they just have someone that recognizes that they love them, not just before and during, but where I think the money is after. You talk to people and they say, so-and-so called me after I'd already signed on the dotted line, after it was over. And they just said, how's your settling in going there in San Diego? I know that's radically different from Italy, and we've been thinking of you, because again, you're well connected and you have people you can refer people to, which if we get to the point where we talk a little bit about network, how to help those lump summers, those self-servers, how it is that can be a process that doesn't feel like a refugee process. I love that term, Mark. I'd never heard of that before. So I'm going to steal that from you, but I'm going to give you credit. But anyway, so I just wanted to kind of bring that up. As you can tell, I'm a little overly passionate about it, but it's just tech gets said as though it's a bad word, as if it's the taking of value and the taking of personalization. But done right, it's exactly the opposite. It makes us more human and more in touch. And see, Andrew and I are totally going to talk after this. But yeah, so I'm so passionate about the fact that the right tech gives you the ability to be exactly more of what you want to be, what Larry knows his customers want, what Eddie knows his customers want, what all those things are. And it's just, done right, it should make you more in touch.
Absolutely. Agreed. Yep.
I think, Sarah, that Sandra has just given you and your tech clients the perfect tagline.
More of what you want.
Well, just in touch. Mark,
Yeah.
you raised your hand. What's up?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. The technology has to be there to support, so that we can be there on that human level, because, sometimes you need that. So absolutely, I 100% agree. The technology supports the humanity for sure.
Yeah. I just want to say, Ed, real quick. If you haven't watched the video, Gotta Love Millennials, you gotta watch it. It is so much fun. Gotta, Gotta, love millennials. And millennials is hard to spell, so you might have to go look it up. But it's so fun, and if you take it just in a fun sense of manner, it's a great little video clip. In the next 10 to 15 years, probably 2/3 of the population is going to be millennials. That's where it's going. There'll be a millennial president one day. There'll be certainly millennials that are transferring left and right. But you have to understand that these smaller shipments oftentimes are millennial shipments, because they can't afford to go out and buy a mansion and fill it up with furniture. So I think it's going to continue becoming small shipments, but we need to understand these millennials and understand how to connect with them and how to reach them. I think that's critical.
So the favorite, so the favorite color, in my opinion, of the millennials is gray. Right? Would you agree? Everything is gray. You look around, the hotels have been redecorated into gray. Yeah.
I think we all spend too much time at this point talking about I'm 41 years old in August, right? And
you don't look at
millennial cutoff, right? So that's the thing, is like, everybody talks, the millennials have been in the workplace for a long time, right? They are executives at some of these tech firms. They are starting up small businesses. They're making stuff happen. If we're going to talk about a generation, we need to focus on Gen Z, because they're the ones that are coming up. They're the ones that we need to adjust our perspective for, and really focus on them, because they are our future clients of this shrinking industry. So,
yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Okay, Andrew, what is your bot doing for you today?
Yeah, that's a good question. And Eddie, I also agree. So I just turned 32, so I am amongst the millennial cohort. So it's funny when I have members of my team that are now amongst Gen Z, and it makes me start to feel really old, even though I'm in my early 30s. But regarding for use of a bot, so we still do a lot of policy development. Like policy writing and things like that. And it's funny, I always joke that you can always tell what someone's been sued for before by what's in their policy. And so we build out these massive relocation policies that are 30, 40, 50, 100 pages to have all the information that we need. And we do that just so they get all of those details. I've had way too many conversations where someone said, but the policy never said I couldn't do this. Like, well, we write policies to say what you can do. It would be very, very difficult to write what you can't do. So I think that's a great space of using conversational AI, and especially, as Sandra was saying, is in a productive way. So when people hear something like a chatbot, I think people generally cringe, because we've all interacted with those terrible chatbots that don't give you any of the right answers. They don't know what you're saying. And those give the entire space a really bad name. Most of our bots will start off with one-click replies to help guide someone through a process, get them information. And at any given point, you can switch over and talk to a human. That same bot platform, you can text it, you can email it, you can call it on the phone, you can interact in a normal web chat. And that's important because it allows you to interact as you want to, in whatever way that is most comfortable to you. And at any point, again, the human can take over. So then that means that you're saying, hey, I'm not getting the answer that I need, let me jump in. Another piece that we do through the bots is having things explained via video. So it allows people to get a much more easily digestible segment of information rather than reading paragraphs in a policy or trying to shorten something. We all have benefits at a glance to try to make some bullet points, but then misses some context and process, and then we get escalations off of it. So it's essentially an intermediary where we've used the term a lot today of augmented, where you can make humans functionally cyborgs. We already are. We have a cell phone in our pocket with every answer, with every bit of human knowledge in it with a simple Google search away. So by using AI and other technologies, we're just enhancing our skills to be able to have that time to make that personal call, be able to collect meaningful data on our surveys. So we're not just sending the survey right after the household goods delivered in a family heirloom was broken. We can do pulse surveys throughout. How are you feeling right now? One-click replies. And the next best thing is that it's all reportable. So now we know what questions our people are asking, when they're interacting, how often they're interacting. And then it helps us with staff planning rather than people saying, I'm working a 100-hour work week. Well, is that an efficiency issue on your end, or is that just a high volume piece? Is it information delivery on the front end, or is it that there was a problem somewhere along the way? If we track that, what's measured can be fixed, and what's measured, it matters.
So let's talk about measuring and tracking. Small shipments. Our friend, I think many of us know Daniel Cunningham. He invented the Cube Monk, which is like a trackable small container. That's knowing where your stuff is, right? Whether it's on the Suez Canal or in some other place, right? So that is that popular? I mean, it seems like the millennials, and never mind them, Gen Z, is going to want to know where their stuff is.
I don't get that question very often. We let them know, as Mark mentioned earlier, you set the expectation at the front, like your things will arrive, between this time and this time, which, especially given the challenges of trucking these days, you give them a window, and we don't get that question very often. As long as you keep them updated, I think, I think they kind of get a bad rap. It's not as instantaneous as we are led to believe. I think if you set the expectation at the front and say, transit time is going to be, X to X days, and we'll keep in touch. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out. They're pretty good with that. They've got a whole lot of other things going on. I think we forget in our bubble, we're moving people and it's important what we do for them. But in reality, they're literally changing their entire day-to-day living. So for them, I think they have other considerations that they're taking care of, like where they're going to live and where they're going to go to the gym and where they're going to eat and where they're going to, socialize. And so as long as we are doing our, the right thing on our side and everything goes the way we all expect it to go, then, not too much complaints and not, not too much to really, figure out, I guess. The technology and the data certainly helps, though, for sure. Yeah.
So Larry, same thing in Canada?
Yes, the tracking end of things is kind of double-edged sword, because the logistics that goes behind a move, you might have a client calling and saying, where's my stuff? And there's a transit time guide. And if you tell them it's still sitting on the dock, you're in trouble. And if you have a GPS and it says, hey, my stuff is still in your warehouse, why isn't it here? There isn't a truck under it yet. So, there's a lot of, we're not Amazon. This industry is not Amazon. We don't have the volumes to be in Amazon. And I know the product, and he also has blockchain technology built into it and all kinds of neat stuff. But it sometimes can be a bit of a, as Sara was saying, do they really have to know that it's still on the dock as long as it's going to be there? Tomorrow there's a truck coming in and they're heading right there. But if he's sitting on the phone and saying, hey, listen, my stuff, then you cause all kinds of stuff that you have to explain. That has nothing to do with anybody. It's an internal operational process that when you get trying to explain it to a customer, they don't have to necessarily know where the airplane is right now, as long as it lands and picks you up to go to Hawaii, Mark. you know.
Yeah.
So
Okay, thank you, Larry. All right, Mark, and then Eddie, and then Andrew.
I saw a cartoon a few years back where it had a mover and he was talking on the phone with a transferee, our customer. He says, "You'll be happy to know with our great new GPS, we can tell you exactly when your shipment was lost." Some technology and some information is useful, and others maybe not. So.
Yeah, I don't see a tremendous amount of customers that are demanding it. Every now and again, you hear a little murmur in the background of it would have been nice to have known or to receive daily updates. But the thing is, I do feel that will eventually be something in the future. And Larry, I 100% with you, my man, is that people will not understand. Hey, well, it's going to be there within the window. Yeah, but you've had it for 4 days and it hasn't moved yet. You know, you don't understand if you pick up 3,000 pounds that's going to ship in a standard moving van on Monday, chances are it's not going to hit the road until Thursday or Friday or Saturday, you know?
Yeah. So like, that's part of my conversation. That's part of why I love talking to them, because I can explain to them, you know, I can, and it doesn't have to be a, you know, in-depth, explanation of, you know, every part of the, but you explain, like, if it packs, especially if it packs on a Saturday, which is always fun, you know, like, you know, it's not going to move until Tuesday or Wednesday, and but we'll get it there, you know.
Yeah, thank you. I need to introduce producer Paul Johnson in the background. Paul, our special guest Chuck White in Washington, wants the link sent immediately so he can join us. Do you happen to have him in our records, Chuck White from IAM? And then you could
have a look.
Yeah, if you could send him this link,
You
he'll
speak
join
of
us.
the esteemed Charles White.
Right.
I have his email. If you need me to send it, you let me know.
Oh, yeah. Would you just shoot it to him? That would be terrific. He's wanting to join. He's just ending a board of directors meeting, and he wants to join us. Okay, Sandra, thank you. And then Chuck will join us momentarily. So I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure Chuck has access to us. I invited him to speak about the October live meeting in Orlando, and to give us whatever he could share about his board meeting. Eddie, do you guys get involved in the military?
No, New World's 100% focused on corporate work. We handle a little bit of COD or consumer business, which we call our friends and family plan, but that's about the extent of it. I think 98% of our revenues is driven through corporate relo.
All right, great. So Larry, I assume you don't have any U.S. military stuff.
No, we do Canadian military. We don't do. We're set up basically the same way Eddie is. We're mainly focused on corporate, but the van lines up here bid direct on the government stuff, and you know they take a lot. It all happens. We do have a military in Canada. Be careful.
Larry, do you guys face the same issues with trucking there that we do in the U.S., or like is your rail system more developed than ours? I feel like.
Yeah, we have a great rail system, but everything is, a lot of stuff is still truck. We've got two big players right now in a big bidding, CN and CP, Canadian National, Canadian thing. They're going after Kansas City, which would make it the largest, Mexico to Canada line in existence. So yeah, in fact, my largest customer is CN Rail. But yeah, we started shipping years ago on rail, but we weren't very good at it as an industry. And a lot of the government contracts kind of said you can't ship by rail because the shunting in the yards and everything, we were kind of messing up the furniture. So we mainly do it, crating and freighting services, and then conventional. So we don't use the rail a lot, with obviously intermodal containers and stuff coming in, but the domestic stuff is usually road.
I think that it's sort of North American. That would be a North American rail, at the very least, can maybe alleviate the use of trucks, which could free them up for the rest of us, which could be helpful.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
so if that merger goes through, Kansas City Southern or something, is that correct?
Yep. they're both bidding on them. CP Rail, Canadian Pacific Railways, has a bid in, to buy them, and CN Rail, which is the other big national line, both A1 rail lines are both looking at Kansas City, because the tracks would then come from Canada right into Mexico. So it'll be it'd cover the entire continent. So.
Let's welcome Chuck White. Hello.
Hello, how are you? So sorry.
No, I'm surprised you're with us. I would think you'd be zoomed out.
Oh, I am beyond zoomed out, but I've been knocking on the door, waiting for you to let me in.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right.
Thank you, Sandra. So do you know Sandra Cleary?
Of course I do. Only too well. Only too well.
So I want to make sure you know everybody here. Larry Kruger is from Canada.
Hello, Larry.
So are you a member of IAM, Larry?
No, we're not. No.
Well,
come on, Larry.
All right.
I've been watching you though, and I think it's a great service. Yeah.
All right. So I'm setting you up for embarrassment here. So you should join. And Eddie, I know you remember.
We are proud members of IAM, and me and Chuck are good buddies going way back.
like the beard too.
It was all about trying to impress you, Chuck.
No, well, you were successful, and I am impressed. I can hardly grow an hair or two on my face.
So Mark Colo, you remember him, I believe.
Of course, Mark and I've been on a couple times.
I was now.
Good to see you.
And Sara, I think Interconex is a member of IAM.
I believe so. You had me thinking about it, but I believe we are.
Yes, you are. Yes,
and so, Chuck, I want you to meet Andrew Bruzzi, who you may have met before. He's with Vendium, which is a tech focused service. Right,
Andrew.
Right, Andrew?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we do like AI and technology development for RMCs, movers, and corporate mobility programs. So
wonderful.
Pleasure to chat with you. I am familiar with you, so it's great to actually virtually say hello.
Yeah, so why don't you guys just chat and exchange your websites. So Chuck, thank you so much. I don't want you to reveal any secrets, and now you won't, about your board meeting today. But what's happening with this military stuff? Is there any action that you can share?
Sure. To be honest with you, we're waiting to see ourselves. The big thing is there is a potential change in the way that they do business. They've issued a solicitation for a contract, an RFP, to be able to take all of the Department of Defense's work and give it to a single entity. We're talking about $2.5 billion worth of work annually, between 350 and 400,000 shipments moving, and they want to hand that over to a single provider. There are 3 bidders for that contract right now, and we're being told that the contract will be awarded around the September timeframe. So a huge paradigm shift potentially coming in that DoD arena that will be a kind of domino effect, I think, into maybe some of these folks' business that may or may not be involved on the DoD side. But when you take a single entity or a consortium and give them that kind of leverage in the marketplace, they can throw their weight around quite a bit in whatever market they choose.
So let's talk now about the fall and the live meeting IAM is going to hold in Orlando in October. What's the dates? And I assume this DoD thing is going to be topic.
It will be front and center, I'm sure. But we are in Orlando, Florida, October 13 through 16 at the Hyatt Regency Hotel.
Yeah, okay. I'll see you there.
Oh, you better. Yeah, I'm counting on that.
Yeah. So what degree of hybrid and live plus video are you going to employ?
Well, we're definitely doing a hybrid, and I guess the degree is going to be dependent upon how many people come in person versus how many people register for the hybrid. But what we're going to do, and I think we're being very adventuresome here, we're going to try to link the hybrid event and the in-person event to the point where they are seamless. We really want to give that virtual attendee a real taste of what it's like to be in the in-person event. So we're going to be giving them a taste of our opening reception, of our closing banquet. We're going to be doing look-ins in the exhibit hall and in the bar, of course, where all the business is done, and really try to give them a flavor from sitting in their office or sitting in their space at home to be able to really delve in, dive in, and interact truly with those that are in person in Orlando. So I think we've got an adventuresome attempt here.
So are you going to offer the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine in advance?
Well, I'd love it if somebody would say we could do that. What we are going to be doing is for those attendees coming particularly from outside the US, we're going to have a station that'll be equipped with an EMT and a registered nurse that will be able to do testing on site, or if you need testing to be able to return to your country of origin, then we're going to be able to provide that service there. Gosh, we to be honest with you, we are looking at, could this be a venue for folks to come in and get vaccinated? So we want to be able to be, everything everything to everybody, and see if we can get people in. We're doing what we're calling a safety pledge. And the number one thing is we are going to try to keep our members and our attendees as safe as possible in this in-person environment. I don't know if you know, it looks like we are probably in the mobility space going to be the first organization to have an in-person meeting. FIDI, one of the other large international organizations, was planning to have a meeting in Vienna, Austria in late August. And just in the last few days, they've decided to cancel that in-person event. They're not going to do anything virtual. So we're going to be the first place that people can get out of their homes and come to.
Yeah, ERC, Worldwide ERC is talking about Chicago sometime in October, but I'm not sure the exact dates yet.
Yeah, I think they were thinking after ours, but
yeah. So it's pretty marginal. We have been invited to. Thank you, Andrew. We have been invited to come to do meetings in Paris, London, and Geneva sometime in the fall. And although I certainly would love to, I think it might be too soon. But looking at the idea of that. So we have about 5 minutes left. I have at 30 past the hour, I have a broadcast live with Andrew Ellerman from AGS in London. He's the European head of AGS. And he's going to be our special guest on an executive moment. And at my 10 a.m., we have a new series called Thrive. And that's part of Strive, which is another new series. And Thrive, which is at 10 a.m., focuses in on wellness in the corporate workplace, plural, which means in my home as well as out there in the office, and what companies are doing or are thinking about doing in order to facilitate clean and safe, to remove the fear of people coming together again. And the fear factor is craziness, not political. This is all business, but there's a way with business people, leadership like all of you, need to figure out a way how to communicate to your own network, your own tribes, about how to think clearly, not politically, but clearly about how to take care of themselves, how to prepare for what's coming, and how much it means to an economy that can grow. So I'm not pontificating here, I'm just a broadcaster today. Chuck White, I thank you so much for your time. And so how many members do you have now? And what percentage are inside the US?
So that's an ever-growing number in answer to your last question. We're about 2,100 member companies in 170 countries. So we're definitely a worldwide footprint, but we're really focusing right now on the richest membership growth territory for us, which is the US. And we're seeing some real gains. We're about at 700. So about a third of the membership is here in the United States, but ever growing almost on a daily basis, as there's a bit of a void that's come about with the merger of the American Moving and Storage Association with the American Trucking Association. And a lot of van line guys have moved over to the American Trucking Association, but many of the independents are trying to make a decision as to which direction they're going to go. Many of those independents here in the US, and we're really starting to see growth in that arena.
Great. So Eddie, say something about what you're going to be doing, having learned from all these people today on the show.
Man, you put me on the spot with that one, Ed.
I did, yeah. Okay, I can edit this out if you want.
I'll push it. You know, it's great being able to connect with people in the industry, especially with other movers, even more so. You know, you guys are my peoples, right? But at the same time, we support one another. So I've just really enjoyed the conversation as a whole, and some difference of opinions is always appreciated. And, you know, it's been a lot of fun. I'm really glad that you invited me, Ed.
Oh, thank you so much, and for playing along again. Sandra, have you learned anything today from this?
Well, I hope if I'm listening well, I always learn something, right? So I for sure have added to the number of people who, to me, everybody's a possible subject matter expert, right? SME. So when you're having conversations, when you're exploring people, I've expanded my network of people that I can reach out to and make sure that we're on track with the things that we're thinking of. And I love hearing about some of the trends that we see happening from the back end when you're talking about the increase in containerized shipments and some of the different ways that we move now, and that we, track moves based upon that. And, so it's brought up a few ideas and how I think I can support people well in some of the things they're doing. And I'll be reaching out on that. So thank you again, Ed, for the invite. And thank you everyone for the great conversation.
Yeah, thank you. So Chuck, I'm sure you know about Sandra's products, the technology.
Only too well. Sandra's organization was the last time we had, the last time we had our virtual conference, they were our conference sponsor, EDC was.
Great.
So I appreciate EDC more than you can ever imagine.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So Chuck, I offered as the publisher of globalbusinessnews.net to publicize the IAM meeting by showing the video clip that you have and other news and information, so you can count on that. Larry Kruger, thank you. Please come back again. I really enjoyed your input here. Sara, always a pleasure. It's nice to hear about your group there doing so well. It's really interesting. Mark Colo, I thank you again, and I look forward to our broadcast tomorrow. So why don't you just speak about a minute here, because we only have about 5 minutes left available for me. Mark, you and I are going to have this conversation tomorrow with one of your board members about findneurohelp.org.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it, Ed. It's going to be a fun call with you, and it's always great being with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
But we will have some good interaction. I'm confident.
So you're in a fundraising campaign, of course, and all these people on the show are richer than I am. So you can always follow up and
You're talking to movies.
Everyone on this call now, please dig deep into your pockets here. But no, we're always looking for donations for our cause. We think of ourselves as the Aflac of our industry, the neurological industry. We fill in everything that the healthcare companies don't. And we've actually, paid for people's tuition, paid for their books, for their children who had autism. We've helped their children. We've helped people with financial planning. Anything that's an expense that's of any concern for an individual, we've got dabbled in it some way or another. So we just look for solutions for individuals that can't find help anywhere else, that are caught up with a neurological disease, whatever that disease may be. So.
Yeah, bless you. That's great. Chuck White, thank you so much for your time. Please come back again. So,
okay, great.
This is called Peak Season. It's going to be broadcast every month here going forward. So our next one will be in about 30 days. I'll let you know if you would like to join in. Once again, never a registration fee on Global TV. Always welcome, and bring a friend. Thank you for being on Global TV. Chuck White from Washington, IAM, Sandra Cleary, also from the DC region, Eddie Marx in Chicago, Larry Kruger in Ontario, Sara Simonetti from the New York Metro region, Mark Colo from Irvine, and I'm here in May Gray, San Diego. It's cloudy and 65, and 10 miles inland from here, it's 82 and sunny. So.
And Paul from Planet Earth. Yes, we always want to remember Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
Paul.
everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Bye,
Have
all.
a great day.
Next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.